you've probably had mentors all through your journey.
Really important.
Which is quite amazing. I can't stress how important having a mentor is, like you being a mentor in the speaking. If it's like when I say to people that, if there's something wrong with your car, you take it to a mechanic. Most especially if it's a very expensive car, one of those European cars, you because you don't want to mess it up, you take it to a mechanic. If you want to get better at speaking, it just makes sense going to someone like Jacqueline Brooker that has walked the path you're hoping to walk through, that can shorten that process for you rather than you trying to figure it out. Now, what has mentorship done for you through your journey, and what are some of the things that have stuck with you that you were able to, borrow or learn from a mentor or a previous mentor that you had?
It's been a long journey. So, because I'm in my early 50s now. The first mentor that I actually had was Andrew Banks, who some people will know from. He's an investor on some of the series of Shark Tank.
Yep.
He was my first mentor. I was working in his business, right? And there were hundreds of us, but we all felt like we got mentored by Andrew, right? And so he role modeled as much as he mentored, and he set very big standards. And that was my foundation. So that was really strong. And what I took from them was to be unapologetic about being the best, right? It was a company that it doesn't exist anymore, but we were the best, we were the elite, and we were unapologetic about it, right? But it was also about you had to back it up. So if you're going to be the best, you couldn't just say you were the best, you actually had to be the best. So high standards, unapologetic about it, don't compromise for the wrong reasons. And he actually taught me about mentorship, because in that business, like he ran the business, he mentored all what they call the rookies, so the people new in. But then I also worked alongside two consultants who literally mentored with every breath they took. Like they'd spin around in their chair and you would learn something, right? It was a really rich coaching, mentoring based environment. And I carried that through as much as I could when I went back to the family business and things like that. The next incredible mentor was a man by the name of John. And John was who I learned industrial relations negotiating from. And so he was actually our industrial relations advisor in our labor hire company, which was a multi-eight-figure company. And we lost a case, which was the first time we'd lost in a decade. And so I got really curious. So one Friday afternoon, his office was in the same building as ours. So I went downstairs. I knew he loved red wine. Took a bottle of red wine down, and I sat down in his office, and I got him to explain to me why he thought we'd lost that particular case. And I was just fascinated. And the more I asked questions, the more he responded. And so that turned into a weekly thing. Every Friday afternoon, if we were both in town, I would grab a bottle of red wine, I'd go down and share it with him, and we would just talk until the wine ran out, and he would just teach me everything he knew, right? So that was, both my first two mentors weren't like an official mentor-coach relationship. It was just what they did. And then from there was a series of mentors. But what I learned from both of those was Andrew and John was the same. Andrew would walk into this Friday afternoon session that happened frequently in the Melbourne office. I was in Melbourne at that stage. And he didn't want to know your wins. They were on the reports. He didn't want to know your successes. They were on the reports. He wanted to know what had gone wrong, what had gone not to plan, what did you unexpectedly lost, what was confusing you. That were the things he wanted to know from you. And then when he responded to that, he would respond with his own war story to give the insight of what to do differently next time. It wasn't theoretical. It wasn't, and he was vulnerable before the word vulnerability was a thing. And it wasn't vulnerable as in I lay my heart on the floor. It was like, okay, when that happened for me, this was the scenario that happened for me. And so he'd put himself right inside you, right beside you with a shared experience. And that was so powerful because we all learned from that. So he was this guy that was absolutely on a pedestal from entrepreneurship, all that sort of stuff.
Collins Mayaki is a global mentor and owner of multiple successful businesses.
Collins Mayaki is a visionary speaker
dedicated to personal growth and coaching sales teams to enhance company profitability.
and family man to the core. He is the owner of multiple successful businesses.
His mentoring extends to individuals, aspiring business leaders, guiding them in transforming their ideas into successful ventures.
And is dedicated
With a focus on both personal and professional growth, driving economic growth through innovative business strategies. Join Collins on this journey to turn aspirations into reality, fostering success worldwide.
But he was never out of reach for any of us if we were being honest about what we were bringing to the table. And that he would not share what you should do. He would share where he had made the same mistake and then what he did now as a result of learning from that mistake. And that was huge. And I've taken that into, this is how I run my whole business now.
So that's quite powerful. This is really, really good advice, good recommendations you're giving all the viewers here. You know, I was even just thinking here, for those people listening here that are thinking of, you know, getting a mentor that would help them to become a speaker or to become a great speaker, or not even just to get better at speaking, what sort of things should they be looking at to be able to select the right mentor for them? Yeah,
I actually just did a podcast riffing about this completely because I'm quite annoyed at the moment about the speaker coaching industry. So I just riffed an entire podcast episode about it. But having said that, the biggest thing that I would say is make sure whoever you're doing this with actually has experience getting results for others. So a lot of people who are established speakers themselves have coaching programs running, and they are not great at coaching others. They're great at what they've done themselves, but you need to make sure that whoever you're looking at, and there's about 7 or 8 things that I talked about in the podcast, but the number one thing is, have they actually been able to coach and train other people to get results, right? Look beyond their own success story for the success stories of others that they've been instrumental, not just stood beside, but been instrumental, is the most important thing. The other thing is it's really important that it's not just about, so there are some coaches that run programs that you on a stage of their own, and it's about getting your collateral and getting footage, and I get that. But you've got to ask, well, what happened for them after that stage, right? So we can say after our stage, this person picked up $30,000 worth of engagements. This person picked up the biggest contract of their career. This person, coaching revenue, he exceeded 10-year financial targets, right? So what has happened to someone after the program, right? So yes, it's great that they can speak. And yes, it's great that they get on stage that you provide as like the graduation, but what happens as a result of that? Because too many speaking coaches out there are just teaching you to tell your story. And teaching you to tell your story is the last of it, right?
I see. That's quite powerful. You know, again, as I said, I did feel stalking on you on LinkedIn and things like that. Can you tell us a little bit more about the program you've built, especially the Speaking More Collective? What kind of transformation and can someone, you know, what sort of kind of transformation can someone expect for that particular type of program?
Yeah, so Speak More Collective is more of our membership program. So it is we've built the podcast to teach for those that can't afford coach. So the podcast is pre-coach. Then Speak More Collective is the first point of entry into our world, and it's a membership program. It is, so the transformation, so people come in, it has all, because it's a membership, it's like going to a gym. People have all different levels of outcomes and experience. But we have people who come in and get their return on investment within 72 hours. We have people who come in and get their first ever paid speaking gig. We have people come in who suddenly find the sales process easy because there's a module on sales. We have people who come in who didn't even know what a one sheet was and then used a one sheet to get an international conference gig. We have other people come in who suddenly start speaking in rooms where they actually build business because we've got a module on how to actually build a 20-minute presentation that gets you clients instead of just applause, right? So they follow that structure and bingo, they get clients instead of just applause, right? So the transformation is very individual. There's about 85 people in the program from 8 countries around the world at the moment, and it's growing, but it's very resource rich. So like last week we did media training with an actual journalist, right? So the transformation is whatever they actually want it to be. We just make sure the resources are available, and we're available for hot seat coaching. We have people go through that program, change their positioning, change how they speak, change the presentations they do at chambers of commerce, drive revenue, get paid for the first time, close deals they never thought of closing. So there's a range of things. So the transformation is very individualistic in the Speak More Collective, but it's an incredible community. We've got people who hang out now who actually have told us they will never leave because the community is so strong for them, right? So it's one of those things that, but it's like build the muscle of speaking. So like, one of the months was we taught you the dual engagement strategy. So when you speak, you have to engage the client, the audience. They have to love what you say and respond, but the client has to also love what you do. So there's a dual engagement strategy going on with every single speech, even if you're just speaking at a Rotary Club or a Chamber of Commerce. There is a dual engagement strategy. You've got 2 parties you have to engage. Your audience has to love you, and so does the person who brought you into the room. So we actually unpacked that and gave people how to do that.
Amazing.